this is stupid to say, but this the only spell in the game where meta magicking it could make it definitively worse, like extend spell
Sure.
on this.
Because it's not its cast time, it's duration. That's kind of funny.
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Catnap. Wake up!
Oh yeah, it's been an hour. This spell, I don't.
It's been 10 minutes,
Oh yeah,
but it
thank you.
feels like an hour.
I, I don't think this spell needs to exist,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of upset that it does. So it's a third level spell for artificers, bards, sorcerers, and wizards. It's a third level spell, like I said. The cast time is an action. It's range of 30 feet. It lasts 10 minutes. You make a calming gesture, and up to three willing creatures of your choice that you can see within range fall unconscious for the spell's duration. The spell ends on a target early if it takes damage or someone uses an action to shake or slap it awake. If the target remains unconscious for the full duration, the target gains the benefits of a short rest, and it can't be affected by the spell again until it finishes a long rest. I think
Hmm.
if you're at a
Yes.
table where this is supposed to be fair, you probably should just be playing 10-minute short rest rules.
Is that
And
a
every
thing?
other table, it's only, yeah, there's a variant rule in the Dungeon Master's Guide where you can change rest lengths, and one of them is 10 minutes
Oh.
for a short rest. And there's hour-long long rest. There's a bunch of different variations to basically let you pick how long and how hard it is to rest.
Well, if you are playing that variant, then this does nothing, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So, like, I have a really hard time seeing this spell being used for anything other than munchkin nonsense cheese, right? I have a really hard time seeing this as anything but a way to game short rests multiple times. Like you finish an hour long short rest, you use two warlock spell slots, you take another immediate short rest 10 minutes later, you get two more warlock spell slots, you burn those, and then you go. And it kind of feels like you only took one short rest, but got the warlocks. You get with a 10-minute short rest, you can cast an hour long duration concentration effect. Then you can nap it off and then get your slots back and then have 50 minutes left on the spell. Like there's a lot of gaminess here that I really
Yeah.
don't like. I don't think we
I mean,
needed
but
this,
that's
right?
what it's for, though, right?
Yeah, it's for cheesing those kinds of effects out. It's got to be like its main use point, right?
You know what I find interesting? The class that could benefit most from this, the Warlock, doesn't get it.
Yeah, it's I think literally aimed at your wizard lets your warlock function is kind of what this
Right.
reads to me is the goal of it, right? This feels like they recognized, okay, the short rest system isn't working the way we'd like. We should make a little patch for that. What if we introduce a spell that helps the short rest characters like monks get their key points back, like warlocks get their spell slots back. Catnap, the wizard now, can spend one of their resources to give other classes their resources back. That's not a fix for the fundamental core problem. The core problem still exists. And frankly, if you have 10 minutes, extrapolating that out to an hour doesn't seem like that far fetched
Mm,
to me.
yeah,
Right?
that's another thing I was thinking. But I mean, 10 minutes to an hour, I could see sometimes popping up.
Yeah, there is a meaningful difference between the two. I, if you can do something passively for 10 minutes, it really seems like there are ways where you could engineer that hour, right? Unless you're really crunched for time, you could leave the dungeon if you need to. You could, barricade a door for longer. You could have someone keep watch, right? Like there are other ways you could try and engineer that if you already could guarantee the 10 minutes will work out.
Yeah.
Because like the
Uh,
fair use of this, right, is getting your monk spell slots back, is getting your warlock or sorry, your monk's key points back, is getting your fighter's action surge back, is getting your warlock's spell slots back. That's what this is supposed to do, right?
yes.
And what it ends up doing is giving hour long concentration effects for free. Well, for your wizard's third level spell, which you could, if you dip into warlock, you could use third level warlock spells with if you can get the spell like through a different class to short rest spell slot a catnap, which seems like we could get into some very dangerous territory as just like series of short rests lined up then, and then you're just like
Well,
you
it
get
only
some.
works once, and then you have to finish a long rest before
Oh,
you can benefit from it again.
okay, so you get the one free use.
Right.
one super short rest that gives you an hour long effect. I don't like this spell. I don't like this spell. I don't think most tables need it. Like, if you're here wondering, should I take Catnap just on a random adventure and you're not, if your build isn't super tight, you're not going for optimize, but you're instead going for what my character looks and feels and vibes, you have no reason to ever take this. Right?
Yeah, its third level is a pretty hefty price too, especially considering all the other fun stuff. Especially wizards and sorcerers get a third level.
Yeah.
Their options. Maybe put it on a scroll.
Yeah, I can see this as a thing you give as a DM. And at that point, I don't know why I'm just not using the variant short rest rules. Like, if I'm giving this out as a DM, I would say you guys need some short rests in a shorter time. I would just say that let's just use that different readily available variant that's right there in the Dungeon Master's Guide or Player's Handbook, whichever
Mm.
it's in. I think it's DMG, to just have this effect be how the game works. If that's where you want
Yeah,
to go anyway, right? Like,
yeah,
if you get handed a scroll of this and you know you're only going to get one scroll of this for the entire campaign, it's going to have that magic item problem where it's like, oh, it's the potion problem. It goes in my bag. I might need it later. I don't need to use it now. I might need it later. And then you never ever use it. So it kind of doesn't,
forget it there.
yeah. And like, then who cares? The game still exists as if you don't need this.
I
I,
I don't know how this is stupid to say, but this the only spell in the game where meta magicking it could make it definitively worse, like extend spell on this.
because it's not its cast time, it's duration. That's kind of funny. Uh, if a target remains unconscious for the full duration, yeah, you could just extend spell this to waste 10 minutes if you really want to. And I can't think of any other spells actively where it's like, oh, yeah, this just is anti synergistic with a meta magic.
Right.
But this one is. So neat.
Okay. Fun fact.
Yeah. If you came here to be like, what buster stuff can I do with Catnap? It probably involves casting an hour long concentration spell and then having your wizard do this to you. And then you being a warlock and getting your spell slots back. Or you cast like 2 hour long effects and have that occur, right? Maybe, 8 hour long effects, death wards, that kind of stuff is what you look to fire off with this. If
Wait a
fun fact, if
second. You
you
can't. You are unconscious though while you're sleeping. Doesn't that break your concentration?
uh target remains unconscious the full duration. Does falling unconscious break concentration? I don't know the answer to that question. If so, then you have to pick a different effect that doesn't require concentration that has an hour long duration, which some exist. You can go watch our extend spell
Yeah.
video. We talk about spells like that, like Mage Armor and stuff, for example. Again, Death
Mm.
Ward doesn't take concentration, so that one I know would work. But if unconscious does break concentration, then you can't use like your Shadow Spawn for free or anything like that. Another quick call out: if you do this as a wizard, you could do it to yourself, and wizards have a thing called Arcane Recovery, which lets you regain spell slots on equal to half your wizard level over a short rest. And if you're level 6, you get your third level slot back over the short rest. And then it's kind of like you just give 2 people a free short rest at no real resource cost, right? You don't even have to feel like you're spending a third level slot for that because you can Arcane Recovery it back, especially if you don't think you were going to get an hour long short rest over the day. It's a thing
Right.
you could consider, but
All
um,
right. According to my 5 seconds of research here, yes, being unconscious does break
break concentration.
concentration.
That would make a lot of sense. So yeah, you
That
can't
is
double
that's
find
Reddit though.
other
So
hour long non concentration duration effects. Those will work with this in the way you want to. But yeah, you can go
yeah,
Shadow
they're out
Spawn.
there.
Good clarification.
All right. Well, anything else to say about Catnap?
It shouldn't exist. I want to fail the spell, but I can't. I'm gonna give it 4. Like, I think this is a nuisance if used gamey wise. Like, this is a kind of thing where if you weren't expecting to get, or if you wanted to double up a warlock's resources at a very low cost to a wizard specifically, I think there is some power there. I think you can, with a party of like monks, clerics, or sorry, monks, warlocks, fighters, you as the wizard being able to mitigate the loss with arcane recovery, again, especially in tables not using a lot of short rests, there can be some gimmicky, powerful munchkin stuff to use with this. I don't think it can really do anything fairly, though. If you're here to go,
Hmm.
should I put this on my sheet to help us short rest? The answer is no. I don't think it serves that purpose well at all. And I think that you would be much better off just finding ways to take the short rest normally or talk about your DM about using the other short rest rules. That just
And
is
it
where this
it
ultimately
does
lands.
it does get more powerful as you level up and your third level slots become cheaper
Yep.
and your warlock buddy, his spells are that much more powerful.
Yeah. As a
So
eighth level
yeah,
wizard, if you use this with Arcane Recovery, you get a third and a first slot back if you want to. So you're kind of netting a spell slot by giving your warlock their spell slots back. So
yeah, it's pretty big. Uh yeah, I was initially thinking about rating this low, but it is potentially very powerful. Four is probably the right score.
again, I want to make this clear. If you're an average D&D player, if you got a character who's built around a theme, if you got a character that's whole identity is in a gimmick or is in a presentation, you do not want to be anywhere near this. This is a spell that seems to exist specifically to try and break the system.
Yeah,
So,
which is a weird thing
sure.
for them to do.
Yeah, I don't. It was supposed to be an amendment to rests, I guess, and it fails to do that in a meaningful way. So instead,
Mm,
it's just cheese potential. Good on you, Wizards. Nice job.
well done. All right, well that was Catnap. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everybody for watching. Let us know your opinions down in the comments section below. Also, like and subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.